Hi, boys and girls. How are you? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the qualities of historical fiction. Yesterday, I hope you enjoyed the read aloud of The Bracelet, although it is a little sad in the end. However, this was a story about a Japanese American family who were forced to go to prison camps because of the fact that they looked Japanese. And even though they didn't do anything wrong, they were forced to go to prison camps during the year of 1943, around the same time that we were having the German occupation happening in Sweden. So just as a quick review, what are some ways that you can write strong narrative stories? So what are the qualities of strong narrative stories? A strong beginning, you learn about the main characters and the setting. A problem or struggle, you have a clear problem, how the character reacts to the problem, told bit by bit, scene by scene. A solution solved by the character or with the help of another character. Steps taken to solve the problem and character change. And a strong ending, characters' actions after the problem has been solved. So those are the most important elements of realistic fiction, which we just experienced writing our realistic fiction stories last week. So even though a fictional story can have many of the same qualities, like we just talked about, setting, problem solution, character development, and character change, genres like historical fiction have other qualities to also consider. So what are some of the questions that we can ask ourselves when thinking about the genre of historical fiction? So the first question we can ask ourselves, what are the specific setting details that signal the reader that there is a historical time period? So again, thinking about setting, but in a historical time period. What are the characteristics of the characters that relate to the time period? When I think about this, question reminds me of character traits. So what are their feelings, their emotions, and their thoughts? What are the factual events or people that affect the main character during the same time period? It could be their family or it could be their friends. What is the central conflict or problem as a result of this specific time period? What's happening during this time period which is causing conflict or a problem for the characters? And then finally, what clothing, food, transportation, house, how do they speak? How do you know that's happening in a different time period? So we're going to be exploring all of these questions with the story of The Bracelet. So what are the specific setting details that signal the reader that there is a historical time period? So let's take a look at this first setting question. One of the most important qualities of historical fiction is the setting and how that might differ from the setting that we know today. So one of the things that we noticed about the setting is that the United States government was sending Japanese Americans to a prison camp. We definitely don't hear about prison camps in the year 2020. The FBI sent Emily's papa to a prisoner of war camp in Montana. Okay, so that's another part of the setting that we realize that definitely was a historical time period. We learned about the prison camp, Tanforan racetracks, right? That's another setting that the story moved through in the book with Emily's family. And then they were ordered to stay in an army barrack 16, apartment number 40. And that was also described as dark, and it was actually a dirty horse stall, right? So these are all of the things that impacted the setting that gave us a signal that, yeah, this is definitely in a historical time period because of the description of the different settings throughout the story. So today we're going to be taking a look at these other questions that I referenced in the earlier slide about all the different qualities of historical fiction. All right. You're going to be using it based on the book, The Bracelet. And for this part of the unit, the fourth grade teachers created an historical fiction writer's notebook in Google Slides. So if you remember, for realistic fiction, we used Google Docs. Now we're going to be using Google Slides as our writer's notebook, which I'm going to be showing to you in a moment. We're going to be using the book, The Bracelet, and you will look for details that support each question that show the qualities of historical fiction. Those are the guiding questions. Your teacher will be providing you with a typed version of the story that you can print out or read online, or you can just go back to yesterday's read aloud video and you can listen to the story again and reading for details that answer those questions. So you have a couple of choices on how you want to access that text today. Important, you want to respond to all of the questions on pages 3 through 5 of the notebook. So let's go, and I'm going to show you the notebook right now. I'm so excited for you to see this. Okay. So here is the writer's notebook that you're going to be using for the second part of this bend, as we're going to be preparing to write our diary entries based on the time period of immigration. Everyone just did all of that awesome research on immigration. You're in the process of preparing Google Slides for the immigration research, and that's going to be the information that you're going to use to give you the historical part of those diary entries. So let's see where you're going to go today to do the jotting for today's lesson. So don't forget to put your name on the front. That's always important, right? So now we're going to go to the next slide, which is like a table of contents. If you notice, a table of contents is broken up into two parts. You have a planning page and you have drafting for the diary entries. So we're going to be working on the planning part first. Just like in realistic fiction, we had quite a few things we had to do first before we started writing our realistic fiction stories, the same way with these diary entries. So let's go to the first part, and that's going to be today's lesson for qualities of historical fiction. Okay, so if you click the link, it's going to bring you right to that page, that slide, excuse me, which is going to be slide 3. And here you have it. So here is the first question that I showed you on the lesson slides. What are the specific setting details that signal the reader that there is a historical time period? There could be more than one setting here, okay? And these are all the things that we spoke about in the lesson. These are all the details that have to do with setting. So now you're going to go to the next question, and you're going to look for all of the details in the story of The Bracelet that tells you about the character traits that relate to the time period. Okay, so the feelings, emotions, and thoughts. What are the character traits of the characters to help you with that? Focusing on this time period. Then you're going to go to the next two questions. What are the factual events or people that affect the main character and or family friends? Again, you're looking for details in the text. Then you're going to go to the central conflict or problem as a result of this time period. You're going to be jotting notes about the problem in this time period. And finally, you're going to talk about the clothing, the food, the transportation. What is standing out to you about some of these items in that time period? And then finally, I want you to do a little jotting here about what do you notice about the similarities and differences between realistic and historical fiction. So what's the same about these two genres so far, and what's different? And just jotting some noticings, okay? So again, have a great time with this lesson. You will be able to either read the story, you can print it out, or you can listen to the video again, and you're jotting on all of these pages, slides 3 through 5 of the new Writer's Notebook. Okay? Have a great day and enjoy the lesson.